Hello everyone. Today we will be sharing to you an international research on curriculum development entitled Teachers' Role in the Development of EFL or the English as Foreign Language Curriculum in Saudi Arabia, the Marginalized Status. We will present to you the identified parts asked from the research annotation format, namely the statement of the problem, hypothesis, methodology, results, and the conclusion. First is the statement of the problem. One of the major obstacles that KSA is facing today when it comes to their curriculum development in schools, particularly in the EFL or the English as Foreign Language program, is that teachers are treated as mere implementers and executors of the top-down decisions made by the MOE or the Ministry of Education. There's an issue of marginalization among teachers in the curriculum development who are considered as mere implementers of plans and strategies coming from the top. They are the end point of educational reform, the last to hear, the last to know, and the last to speak. The lack of teachers' voice in the curriculum was directly related to power issues such as oppression. So we identified this statement as the statement of the problem because it clearly states the problem with enough contextual details like the problems presented here are the teachers are treated as mere implementers and executors of the top-down decisions, an issue of marginalization among teachers in the curriculum development, and also teachers are the endpoint of educational reform, meaning the teachers are the last one to hear, they are the last one to know, and they are the last one to speak. And lastly, the lack of teachers' voice in the curriculum. Next is the hypothesis. So, hypothesis is according to the definition from Oxford Languages, it is a supposition or proposed explanation made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. So with the hypothesis, we researchers can have further investigation like like if teachers are granted a greater role in designing the curriculum, it can certainly be approved. So if they statement will be put into action, like teachers are granted a greater role, there might be a possibility they that it can be approved. And also, if teachers are given choices and ask for their views on various educational issues, they will cooperate while marginalization will alienate them further by Trudy 2009, page 65. If teachers try to express their opinions and suggest ideas, their voice is not heard and the MOE neglects them and does not take their points of view or comments seriously. If channels of communication were open, it might help improve the situation. If teachers are involved in curriculum development, it may foster teacher satisfaction with the curriculum. As you can see, our identified hypothesis starts with the if statement. So the if and then statement is the common format in a hypothesis.
Hello everyone, I will discuss to you the methodology of this research which pertains to the methods used in conducting this case study. Now, this case study used the semi-structured interview to be practical-wise with the limited time given in this research. Now, using the semi-structured type of interview, the researcher prepared questions beforehand to guide the conversation and keep the respondents on topic. Moreover, it allows for open-ended responses from the participants for more in-depth information, and also allows the respondents the time to open up about sensitive issues that are relevant on the topic. Now, the sample of this study is exclusively involved only with the male participants, or teachers rather. Now, due to the difficult access to the female teachers, given that there is a strict separation in gender that operates in the KSA education system, which is influenced by the Islam religion. Now, furthermore, on the methods part conducted in this case study, the researcher did a data analysis that involved the translation of the interview taken from Arabic to English language, as some of the male teachers could only express freely their thoughts when they speak more fluently in Arabic, as it is their mother tongue. Now, they were recorded and transcribed in Arabic without losing the meaning and the quality when analyzing the data. Now, in order to ensure the transparency of this research, this was checked and approved by a PhD student consulted by the researcher, as the PhD student himself is fluent both in Arabic and English. Now, who approved the minor amendments in the translation? Now, moving on with the results, the data gathered from the participants resulted to discovery of the real status of the teachers when it comes to the curriculum development. Now, the teachers had lack of voice when they open up their suggestions, because they are the trusted source of what should be changed for improvement, as they are the front lines of the teaching service for the learners' welfare. Now, their voice is not heard enough, as everything in the deciding process comes from the higher authority. Now, if this high authority, which consists of the policymakers and the Ministry of Education, that continue to ignore the teacher's voice, that will escalate or cause more bigger problems in their jobs. That would be all. Thank you.
So, good day everyone. I am Lori Bell. So, the study concluded that problematizing the power relations and changing the current situation of the teachers is a task that needs time and effort. It is not really an easy task. So, although one of the aim of this study is to problematize these relations, it cannot be assumed that the status quo of the teachers cannot be easily modified in such a short period of time, because teachers, particularly in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, have no voice. So in this type of situation, it could really takes a long period of time for them to be heard. So in fact, since the introduction of the English language in the KSA curriculum in 1925, its design has been centralized by an MOE, or Ministry of Education. Therefore, it could be expected that due to this long period of time, the educational bodies in general, and teachers in particular, would be satisfied with the current role of the Ministry of Education. So, in this study, it also attempted the teachers' awareness about being them, an individual being the marginalized one, especially in the decision-making processes. um, this awareness could lead them to, or could be their initial step for them to transform, for them to um, being empowered teachers, and um, they can change that oppressive reality into a very being fair one. So after presenting and analyzing the results, we come up with the fundamental question: how can this issue of teachers marginalization can be addressed? So because of the study's critical nature, it was necessary to not only criticize the issue of teachers marginalization, but also how can we find ways to empower teachers and change this unjust situation into a fair one, wherein all of the educational stakeholders, especially the teachers, will be involved in the decision making process. So the study revealed that the Saudi EFL teachers are marginalized in decision making in general and curriculum development in particular. They were have showing a great lack of involvement in terms of curriculum development, and that their voice was not heard by the policymakers. So this kind of treatment to the Saudi Arabian teachers have a great impact on their professionalism. The, the negative impact greatly affects their teaching methodologies, it affects the children's learning and the whole school academic performance. So it left them being frustrated, and that they were thinking that they are not doing their best in teaching. So there can only be positive change to this satisfaction when they are involved in the decision making processes in the curriculum development. It could also boost their morale as a teacher and could influence better for the education reforms. So it is strongly suggested that the Ministry of Education should understand the value of all of their educational stakeholders, particularly the teachers themselves, because at the end of the day, they were the implementers of that decision they make or they made. So teachers likewise should also take the initiative in order for them to aspire themselves and to participate in the curriculum development. So teachers should also perform research and demonstrate their ability or their capacity to be creative individual, not only being passive one, but also they should also convince the policymakers that they can be uh, actively engaged in the curriculum development and in decision making processes. That's all.
The next research is entitled The Teacher Involvement in School Curriculum Design and Development in the Philippines. This research is a case study created by Mr. Weber R. Irimber. He is a PhD student in education in Adventist International Institute of Advanced Studies, Silang, Philippines. According to Mr. Irimber, curriculum is one of the major important aspects of education. It is the set of plans, objectives, and processes involved in educating people. While teachers are one of the stakeholders of the student's education, however, they are not fully involved in planning or developing the curriculum. This limited involvement can have a negative impact on the quality of education. Thus, this case study aimed to explore teachers' involvement in curriculum design and development in a private school in Cavite, Philippines. Statement of the problem. The lack of teachers' participation in curriculum design and development is an obstacle that affects the whole process of teaching and learning in the Philippine schools. This study aimed to determine the reasons for the lack of teachers' participation in curriculum design and development in the Philippines, particularly at the private secondary school level in Cavite, Philippines. It also intended to identify the major challenges teachers face in the implementation of a curriculum design without their involvement and get their opinions about this situation. Additionally, this research study explored the following questions. First, why are teachers less or not involved in the curriculum design and development in high schools? Second, how does the lack of involvement of teachers in curriculum development affect the process of teaching learning? And lastly, what are the opinions and suggestions to solve this problem of not involving the teachers in curriculum design or development? Hypothesis. So these are the assumptions we got as based from the research. So first, teachers' lack of involvement in curriculum development affect the teaching learning process. Second, if teachers are ignored, marginalized, and do not know when the curriculum is to be designed, then there are a number of challenges teachers may encounter in the process of teaching learning. Third, if teachers explained how important their participation in curriculum design or development despite the low and insignificant level of their involvement, then conceptualizing, designing, developing, and implementing school curricula at any level of education, especially in the high school level, would be easy to do. And lastly, if collaboration among different stakeholders would happen, then it might help improve the situation.
Methodology. The form of interview used in this research is an individual semi-structured interview using open-ended questions. Document analysis was a useful tool to triangulate with interviews done with the teachers. According to Denzen of 2016, multiple of methods such as interviewing, surveys, and observation across times and places offer multiple perspectives. The curriculum documents consulted in this study were the curriculum guides, course outlines, lesson plans, and textbooks. Interviews were held in the length of 15 to 30 minutes, according to the appointment given by each participant. In agreement with the participants, interviews were audio recorded, transcribed, and treated as a raw data in order to give a sense of the experiences of the teachers about the curriculum design and development. In this research, the data collected were analyzed according to Criswell's of 2014, processed from the specific to the general meaning. In this process, data were prepared and organized, coded, and transcribed to generate categories and themes through which interpretations were made. According to Selden and Omasta of 2018, the purpose of coding is to identify forms of participant.
Okay, next is the result. So first, I would like to introduce the descriptive information of the participants. So in the table, it indicated the participant number, gender, country of origin, work experience, educational attainment, and code. So the participants of this research were all the teachers at one high school in Cavite, Philippines. They had been working as teachers in various schools for a number of years. 6 people were chosen, which is shown in the table, to participate in this analysis. There are 5 high school teachers and 1 principal or administrator among them. 3 of them were female, whereas the other 3 were all male, except for 1 participant who had a master's degree, was a PhD candidate in education. Everybody else had a master's degree. Furthermore, they were certified teachers in the Philippines. The acronym HSTP stands for the High School Teacher Participants, followed by the participants' number. PAP6 stands for the Principal's Administrator Participants number 6 for the last participants. The participant. Going back to the result, the findings of this study have been divided into 6 themes. These themes are: first, the compass for teaching; second is the curriculum decision makers; third is the teacher's assignment; fourth is the challenges in curriculum implementation; fifth is the curriculum mapping; and lastly, the teacher's design. The categories formed from the various codes created as part of the data analysis were used to generate these themes. Okay, so the first theme is the compass for teaching. Teachers have specific documents that serve as indicators or compass for their teaching during the teaching learning period. These records serve as safeguards in ensuring that the school curriculum is implemented effectively. So despite having documents guides that showed the subjects to be taught, teachers face a shortage of textbook references for some subjects. Since some books and teaching materials were not provided, it became the teacher's responsibility to make all necessary arrangements, which includes the downloading of books from the internet or documents containing content relevant to their guides. This is according to HSTP numbers 3 and 4. In addition, there was no curriculum provided by the Department of Education for some classes, and teachers were forced to create their own curriculum guides based on existing textbooks. HSTP number 5 used physics as an example for junior high school students. Okay, so the second theme is school curriculum makers. Making a decision about what to teach students necessarily requires collaboration among stakeholders. According to Linimits and Ruthman in 2015, designers should clear the questions about what to plan and what to execute before making such a decision. Any decision regarding instruction requires an assessment of its psychological impact on students and professors. However, in the Philippines, some bodies seem to have the authority to make decisions, while others require complete submission. The reason for teachers' lack of involvement in curriculum development are: first is a privilege of the Department of Education or the DepEd. The participants revealed that in the Philippines, the Department of Education designs the curricula. The Philippine government's Department of Education has complete authority over what is taught. One of the participants expressed the private school's reliance by stating, "We come to private schools under the Department of Education. The subjects, especially in junior and senior high school, are under DepEd because junior and senior high schools are a pattern under the curriculum of DepEd. Every time the DepEd issues a memorandum for requirements, we have to comply with the requirements. Otherwise, we do not get the letter that approves the senior high school." This is according to HSTP number 1. Okay, second is the School Gatekeepers Committee. So the teacher must demonstrate complete compliance by enforcing a program that was created without their input. They follow the guidelines developed by the school curriculum decision makers. Every single teaching assignment demonstrates total submission. According to the collected data, when it comes to creating a curriculum, particularly for private schools, it is the head teachers and the private school owner who creates a structure those teachers must obey. Actually, in my previous school, I had no idea about the curriculum, one participant said. As a result, I was not directly involved in the development of a curriculum. They have a structure in place that we all adhere to, so we are not part of making the plan of the curriculum. This is according to HSTP number 4. Another participant said that he was consulted for his opinions when the school implemented the K-12 curriculum for grades 11 and 12 because it was the time that the Philippines began implementing the senior high school program. The school administration, on the other hand, approved the final curriculum document. There has been no consultation, no suggestion of improving the curriculum or review of the applied curriculum since then. So the last reason is a teacher's marginalization in curriculum development. So getting a seat on the curriculum design and growth committee does not mean that you are an excellent implementer of school curriculum. The participants stated that there are many reasons why they are not actively involved in the curriculum design and development. First, administrators do not allow or include teachers in the design, production, or assessment of the curriculum. This explains why teachers are so undervalued. Furthermore, even though a teacher is sometimes invited, he or she might be a non-voting member of the curriculum committees because, according to HSTP number 1, administration is like this. If you make noise, they will fire you. They want things to be peaceful. They want everybody to know they are the head. So when it comes to the DepEd Curriculum Committee, the participants claim that they are just a small part of implementing the DepEd designed and prepared curriculum. Others articulated their marginalization by claiming that they are marginalized as teachers during curriculum design and development. They are not included in the curriculum preparation committee and are not consulted. Furthermore, private schools have a structure and teachers simply obey it. As a result, teachers are not truly interested in the development of a curriculum. They are not involved in creation of the curriculum plan. Okay, so the next theme is the challenges in curriculum implementation. The participants had different views on the lack of teachers' participation in curriculum creation and design. They listed a variety of difficulties they encountered in implementing the program. Difficulties encountered in this context were related to the lack of stability of the workers, conflicts between curricula, hesitation in teaching, and learners' problem. Both teachers and students are affected by these issues. So first is the lack of stability of the workers. So since the teacher is the one who knows the learner's problem and their level, the successful implementation of a program requires the involvement of teachers for a number of years. However, the participants revealed that no school would guarantee that teachers will be available in the future years. So one of the participants asserted, "If I am going to be a teacher for the social studies, at least I should be there for 5 years. I will not only master the subject but also effectively implement the curriculum." This is according to HSTP number 2. Furthermore, the change of administrators every school year or so affects the teachers in implementation of the curriculum. Okay, next is the curricula conflicts. So all of the participants brought up the issue of introducing a foreign North American curriculum that does not benefit Asian, African, or European students in the Philippines. Because of its multicultural orientation, the school attracts students from all over the world. Furthermore, the students come from various backgrounds and have different curricula in their respective countries. The school claims to pursue the American curriculum by using a block curriculum, although this does not benefit all students. However, the Department of Education has a program that must be taught. Since the majority of students are not permanent at the chosen school, this is a significant challenge not just for the teachers but also for the students. Some are missionary children who have only been in the Philippines for 4 or 5 years. Others are children of adult students who study in the same town for just a few years before returning to their home countries when their university program is completed. These young children are totally abandoned as they return to their respective countries. This is according to HSTP numbers 1, 3, and 4. So next is the hesitation in teaching. Teachers are undecided about whether they should teach the DepEd program or the Western curriculum. The participants stated that they had receive no instruction or orientation on how to apply the two curricula. Every teacher is responsible for testing and combining the North American and the Department of Education curricula once they have been assigned to the school. Furthermore, topic misalignment and the unexpected attribution of courses to some teachers in the middle of the school year hinders teachers from adequately preparing curriculum guides, lesson plans, and course outline before they teach. Moreover, the participants raised the issue of the lack of contextualization of Western curriculum in Asia, especially in the Philippines. Teachers proposed a curriculum that is versatile enough to be adapted wherever it is needed. The delivered curriculum must be clarified to the children's parents so that they have the choice of sending their children to another school if appropriate. One of the respondents in voicing the need for the contextualized and dynamic curriculum stated, "The disadvantage is that the North American curriculum is not contextualized. It is based on the Western point of view, American standards, American curriculum, and American points of view. But we could not all be Americans. Yes, we have very few students from the United States. The thing is, how about those who are Asian, Koreans, Africans, or Indonesians? Their worldview is quite different from the others. So, a contextualized education curriculum would be a great help." This is according to HSTP number 5. So the next is the learner's problem. The participants indicated that students had a number of issues as a result of a program that did not fulfill their needs. The first issue raised was the students' failure to adjust to their country's school curriculum when they returned home. One alarming illustration given was a case of a girl from a family who left this school in grade 10 and was not allowed to go to the grade 11 in one of the countries in Europe. The suspicion was that she did not qualify for that grade. It was a difficult task because the school wanted to accelerate her, and she declined, arguing that she was where her academic record showed should be. So, her teachers were concerned when they heard the news. This is according to HSTP number 2. So, the English language is another issue that schools encounter. Participants brought up the example of Korean and Chinese students who struggled with the English language because they had not been exposed to an atmosphere where they were required to speak English frequently. Since English is a medium of instruction, such students must learn it quickly. Theme number 5 is a curriculum mapping. The participants argue that mapping a curriculum is one way to address the issue of teachers' lack of involvement in the curriculum design and development. Both of the participants agreed that it is important for teachers to come together at the end of the school year to plan out the curriculum. They stressed the importance of subject teachers working together. The participants admitted that they do not have organized subject teachers meeting with specific goals in mind. They meet occasionally to exchange information rather than to discuss what went well or poorly and what needed to be changed. One of the participants claimed, "We subject teachers meet informally. We usually talk about issues but informally. A formal meeting means there is a goal to update. No, we do not have." This is according to HSTP number 5. Additionally, at the end of the academic year, teachers must come together to work on not only subjects but also topics to be taught in the next year. According to the participants, summer should be a time for curriculum mapping. This work has not yet been completed, and they proposed that the alignment could be formed between grade levels. This time could be also used to choose and review textbooks from the following school year. One of the participants stated, "We should not only set the curriculum mapping for the subjects, but we have to teach curriculum with the next grade." This is according to HSTP number 2. The last theme is the teacher's desire. For several purposes, the participants shared a desire to serve on the curriculum committee. Teachers understand the context of their students' issues, have first-hand knowledge of what happens in the classroom, and are familiar with the challenges and even levels of their students. Teachers wanted to work effectively with the Department of Education at the national level, engage in the curriculum plans, and even have members. So when creating a school curriculum designers are encouraged to consider teachers' perspective. One of the participants claimed, teachers should be invited in the planning because they know what the problem in the classroom is. Listen to the teachers, observe us and give us feedback, get us involved in planning and developing a curriculum. This is according to HSTP number 4. So, if teachers are not consulted, those who plan the curriculum will do so without taking into account the needs of the students and community as a whole. So the teacher is the one who can include specifics about how to address the needs of the students. So another topic that has been emphasized is the global students consideration. The international aspect of the students at this particular school takes extra attention. One of the participants stated, we need to make sure that those students are given an international curriculum that is adapted because every time there is a discussion that involves a national setting in the Philippines, we also need to consider the international setting of that child. They need to connect because everything they learn about the Philippines remains here, but they need to know what is happening in their country. This is according to HSTP number 2. So, the ability of the teachers to engage in curriculum creation was also stressed by the participants. They said that teachers should be consulted on a regular basis and their recommendations should be taken into account. A regular cycle of updating the curriculum is important, and at that time, according to HSTP number 5, we teachers would be consulted. Ideally, teachers should be consulted in regular updating of a curriculum because it does not make sense. You change a curriculum and you do not ask teachers who are delivering the curriculum. The participants stated that this can be accomplished by looking back at the program to see what implementers did right and what needs to be improved, as well as the necessary in the curriculum and what needs to be strengthened. So that's all for the result.
In conclusion, according to Mulenga and Mwanza in 2019, despite the fact that the teachers know how to teach and can make a substantial contribution to curriculum growth, the system ignores them and limits them during the implementation phase. It is a difficult task to conceptualize, design, create and implement curriculum, for it requires collaboration among multiple agencies. Teachers explained how important their participation in curriculum design or development despite the low and insignificant level of teacher engagement. Teachers are not given the chance to relate in school curriculum decision making, according to the researchers. Teachers are not involved in curriculum design and implementation. It is because curriculum preparation is the responsibility of DepEd decision makers, administrators, and school owners. Teachers are underrated, neglected, and unaware of when curriculum will be created. They discovered several barriers that prevent teachers from participating in curriculum growth. Lastly, teachers' dedication, work satisfaction, and productivity improve when they are involved in school-based decision making. As a result, successful curriculum implementation will occur and learner performance would improve. Collaboration among subject teachers, curriculum mapping during the summer session, orientation and preparation for teachers are all examples of ways to increase engagement in curriculum design. Teachers would be pleased and motivated to teach if they were included as the key stakeholders in the creation of curriculum because they are implementers who are familiar with the challenges that students face in the classroom.
Evaluating the academic performance of K-12 students in the Philippines, a standardized evaluation approach.
Hi, I am Soludis and I'm going to discuss a statement of the problem and hypothesis. Statement of the problem: determining the effectiveness of the implementation of K-12 curriculum towards the academic performance of Filipino students. The study aims to create more young Filipino students prepared for the future, since the K-12 offers certain basic skills that is related to the certain courses. Hypothesis: students are ready to take higher education, eligible for entering higher educational institutions, and immediate employability after graduation. Since the K-12 curriculum makes the students more mature and skilled towards their certain field and can handle pressured environment.
Methodology. The research used a standardized approach, which is the Scholastic Abilities Test for adults, that measures the nonverbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, reading vocabulary, reading comprehension, mathematical vocabulary, and mathematical applications to evaluate the academic performance of K-12 students in the Philippines, specifically in all strands of senior high school. This Scholastic Abilities Test for adults, or the SATA, is a standardized instrument where it measures the cognitive and also the psychological factors thought to underlie the academic competence and the skills closely associated with the academic accomplishments. The SATA measures the scholastic competence of the persons from the ages of 16 to 70 years old, and the testing time takes 1 to 2 hours and can be administered individually or even in groups. This study is conducted in Cebu, Philippines, because it is one of the most highly urbanized areas in the country, and it also having an increasing number of enrollments annually.
This is the result of a study. The horizontal axis corresponds to each subtest of the SATA. The vertical axis corresponds to the average score obtained in each axis. The line here represents the UCL, or the upper control limit, while the line here represents the lower control limit. So scores above UCL means above average, while scores below LCL means below average. So the plot represents the interactions of the average scores obtained by each K-12 strand in each subtest. So the study found out that the strand Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, or STEM, have above average competency in nonverbal reasoning, reading vocabulary, and mathematical capacity, while the strand Accountancy and Business Management, or ABM, have above average scores in reading vocabulary, mathematical capacity, and mathematical applications. Humanities and Social Sciences, or HUMS, and General Academic Strand, or GAS, got average scores, while the Technical, Vocational, Livelihood, or TVL obtained below average scores. For an overall evaluation, ABM and STEM performed significantly better than HUMS, GAS, and TVL. Thus, the effectiveness of K-12 curriculum towards the academic performance of Filipino students vary on their strand.